Welcome back to LimQ Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until Tears of the Kingdom comes out, which is today, in 21 days. I want to talk about two things today. First of all, a little bit of an announcement. Today, well, time zones are always complicated, but this video should come out around 3 PM my time at 10 PM Central European Summer Time, CEST. I'm gonna be joining Ratatoska on his Yggdrasil podcast, and we'll be discussing some pretty interesting new theories that were recently kind of surfacing. I was looking into them a lot. Currently on Twitter, they're kind of going around, especially about the history of our mysterious Zonai princess, Ganondorf, and even the mysterious dragon Zonai Goatman, whatever you know him as. But the other thing I want to talk about today is something that's more gameplay specific that I think could be really interesting in the final product of the game. And that's going to be about Ganondorf's power. Evidently, Ganondorf in Tears of the Kingdom is gonna have a tear. We've seen him rise up at first in this mummy form with the tear. We've seen... We've seen the tear show up in the official art. It looks like Ganondorf possesses a tear. And I want to kind of speculate what the power of that tear is, and Ganondorf's power in general, and its ties to potential necromancy, and then also what kind of like gameplay implications this has. Now, if you think back to trailer number 2, the second official trailer where we first got a look at Tears of the Kingdom's vehicles and a little bit better idea of the entire world and everything, the one that I think was in the February or January Direct. The interesting thing there is that Ganondorf spoke for the first time. His voice basically saying things like, "Rise, rise my servants." Rise, the word specifically, was spoken twice, which I want to talk about, because that kind of implies that he actually has someone rise from the ground. If you think about it, the monsters we've seen in Tears of the Kingdom spawn from the sky. The Blood Moon is shooting Blood Moon malice shots down. It wouldn't make sense to say rise. Now, in general, rise could also just mean, like, show up. Like, it's like you have to rise up, you know, like, put in some work. But I think it actually goes deeper than that. If you think about it, the power of the Blood Moon in general... Also, this is going to be a little bit difficult to do with only 2 bars of stamina, but I think I'm fine. Actually focusing on this real quick. If you think about it, the power of the Blood Moon, right? In Breath of the Wild even, revives the fallen enemies. The enemies slain in the name of the light. That's what Zelda says in the cutscene of the Blood Moon showing up for the first time. So the Blood Moon's power is basically necromancy. And it seems like Ganondorf has some heavy ties to the Blood Moon. We don't know for sure if the Blood Moon exists because he does, or if he exists because the Blood Moon does. That's not completely clear, but they're definitely very much tied to one another, right? Again, Ganondorf using that line, "Rise, rise my servants." And now, next step, let's go to the mural that we've seen depicting Ganondorf. We've only seen the full version of it recently in the newest trailer. It shows this ancient version of Ganondorf with bokoblins. Actually, in the download cards for the game that has surfaced in Japanese shops, you can get an even better look of it. And in that, you actually see... oh, wow. I guess I have to do a mid-air wind bump here now. Oh, this is interesting. In that download card, you actually see it even better. It seems like there is soldiers in that mural that don't necessarily look very bokoblin-like. In fact, they look kind of Hylian almost, normal. It looks like their shields resemble the Hylian shields. They look like normal, like human soldiers, right? And later on, you actually see these soldiers covered in Ganondorf's malice, almost looking like they're now fighting for him. Which again could imply that Ganondorf has some sort of necromantic power where he can rise fallen soldiers and make them fight for his side, for his purpose. Now, if you don't believe that all of this fits together, and Ganondorf's power might not be related to necromancy and rising people from the dead, then this next point won't really interest you. But if it does, if you do believe there's a fair point to it, I want to now kind of think about how this could actually imply, or what gameplay implications this would have. And I think the most interesting one to me are the skeletons around the map. In the new trailer, we've gotten a shot close to the Arbiter's grounds, where a new structure that we haven't seen before. Actually, we have kind of seen it before. I'm actually going to use this right here. Oh, unless I actually was deleting some screenshots earlier to make space, so I might have just lied. I showed them recently. I did lie. There's a structure that you can actually see the roof of, it seems like in Breath of the Wild, that rises out of the ground in a new trailer. And what makes this interesting is that in that shot where you see it rise, you cannot see the great Gerudo skeleton. Let me show it to you on the map instead. That will make a little bit more sense. So basically the region we see is, this is the Arbiter's grounds. Around here, Dragon's Exile? Wait. I never thought about this. That is actually fairly interesting. This is exactly the location I'm thinking about. This is the thing that rises out of the ground. And that area on the map is called Dragon's Exile? Huh. Okay, I can't talk about this yet because I just got infinite ideas. Take that for what you will, but this is where the structure rises out of the ground. And the entire point I was going to make is that you cannot see the Gerudo Great Skeleton in that shot, even though you should be able to. Another location, let's stick with it, that you cannot see is the big skull in the bottomless swamp. The Luigi Bros made a comparison where there's 3 new lakes in this area, and this skull is now completely gone. This skull has reminded me, personally, always of, what's his name? Star-Lord from Twilight Princess. Literally, like, the Lord of the Dead. So, the implications here basically are, if Ganondorf is able to reincarnate and use necromancy on all of the big bones, leviathans and skeletons in the world, that we might actually run into them as enemies, and I think that's just incredibly exciting. Wow. My brain is like all on Dragon's Exile now, because we definitely have a strong connection to dragons of Tears of the Kingdom, at least I believe so. I've talked about that in previous videos, and if that's some sort of structure rising from the ground at the Dragon's Exile, I wonder what dragon was exiled here. Was it potentially... Did potentially Ganondorf also have some sort of, like, dragon... some dragon, whatchamacallit, form or something, and he was the one that was exiled? Is this maybe literally related to the spot in which Ganondorf is sealed? I don't know. I'm not going to think about that too much because, again, I guess I will discuss this later on the podcast together with Ratatoska. Also, I need to remember that I do not... Well, I do actually have 1 fairy here, but I shouldn't be losing health for no reason. I'm always in the speedrun mode where I have infinite fairies because of a glitch. That being said, let's move on. I am basically just trying to at least get to the location of the next shrine, that shield serve location. That's probably what I'm going to be doing in the next episode, because I just wanted to mention implications of Ganon having a necromantic power, and I think those are pretty exciting, especially if we think about the big skeletons. People have even said that that centipede/spider looking thing in the storm in Hebra could be related to the Great Hebra skeleton. I don't personally completely see it anymore, but I think another exciting possibility, especially because it's also in the Hebra region. But with that, and wait, it would... No, never mind. I got confused there for a second. I thought the bottomless swamp is in Gerudo. It's obviously not. It's in Hylia Field. Thank you for watching. Interesting episode today. Discovered something new and shared with you my observations. But tune into Ratatoska's podcast today at 10 p.m. CEST, where we'll be discussing all of this stuff. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.